was another DC that I walked into, and when I walked into, I could tell it was not that great. And obviously, that's the reason why they wanted to fix it. And they had hired a new VP of logistics, and this gentleman came in and he wanted to completely overhaul the supply chain infrastructure. And this DC was feeding shipping product to all their events all over the world. And he had come in and he had hired a new distribution center DC director, and he had also won the support from IT. The IT leadership is fully on board to help him do this WMS implementation, a great success and all that. So we did a end-to-end design, and we understood all their business requirements, and came up with the end-to-end design. And they wanted to incorporate much more security features, because the users were not fully disciplined, and they were like circumventing the system and so forth. They would just do whatever it takes to ship and wouldn't care to tell the system. So that's what they were doing, and they wanted to put in all these checks and balances. So we took all that into account, and then did the design and developed customizations, and then tested the system thoroughly, and then turned it on. And any time when you're turning on a new system, we all know garbage in, garbage out. So the inventory count that is fed into the system for the new system has to be accurate. However the sophisticated the system is, if that inventory count is not accurate, then what's going to happen is the system is not going to work. I mean, the inventory people, when they go to look for product in a specific location, it's not going to be there, right? So or it's not going to be accurate. So that was our recommendation, my recommendation. Hey, let's do a thorough physical count, so that way you guys get a really good inventory count, and from there on everything takes care of itself, because people trust the system. People have faith in the system. They follow the system, because when they go to find the product, it's really there. But these people didn't want to spend that time. They said, hey, we think our inventory count is accurate, whatever we have. And they said, hey, let's convert what we have into the new system, and then let's turn it on. So that's fine. I mean, if you folks are so confident on the inventory count, go for it. So that's what they did, and turned it on. So what happened was they started chasing ghosts. They would go to a location, look for the product, but the product won't be there. And they would go for, ask for an alternate, and they go to the next location, the product won't be there either. So they were literally, going in circles. So they've been doing this for 3 months, and they weren't able to ship all the orders they got. And the DC director got so frustrated and then called us back and said, hey, what is the best way to fix it? And we went back to the previous discussion. Hey, I think, the best way to do this is, do a thorough inventory count and make sure your inventory is accurate. And also they had other problems. They had plenty of SKUs without barcodes, and the users didn't know what to do. They would just keep it in a location and just scan the barcode, some other barcode, and then keep going. So that's what they've been doing. After our recommendation, they did a thorough physical count. So on top of it, they also assigned specific SKUs to specific locations. I mean, even though it was there, people just didn't follow it, so they redid the whole thing. So in the pick area, assigned a SKU to a specific location, and they took a picture of that SKU and mounted that picture on top of the bin location, so users know, hey, this SKU needs to go here and not other SKUs, because not all SKUs had barcodes in them, right? So they started this process, and also he took a set of veteran users and instructed them very clearly, hey, you have to follow this step diligently, or else the system is not going to work. So he trained them perfectly, and they started following the steps diligently, and then it worked fine, because now they had, it's very important to have one SKU per location, right? I mean, again, that depends. It's not across the board. For example, Amazon wouldn't be able to do it, because Amazon has so many different SKUs, and they have, even if it's 1 million or 2 million square feet facility, they're going to have only a certain number of locations. They cannot accommodate every single SKU and have a dedicated single SKU location for every single SKU. That's difficult. So, but these people had a decent number of SKUs, and they were able to do it, and that's what they did. And whenever there was a SKU mismatch, or there was a barcode that was missing, the picker was instructed to bring it to the supervisor, have a clear written log on a daily basis, and they followed all that. So first, the veteran pickers did that, and then eventually they trained all the newbies and the less experienced pickers and got that process going. So then everything worked fine. So and then they also implemented a cycle count process on a daily basis. So they picked an aisle every day, 10 locations or 20 locations or 100 locations of this aisle needs to be counted. So there was a cycle counter that would come in the third shift, and that was his job. He did that along with the, typically in the third shift, it's replenishers that are replenishing the, pick location. So that way, when the pickers come the next day, they have all the product and they can keep picking. So orders get shipped sooner. So like that, in the third shift, they added one more cycle counter and they did that. So that just made such a big difference, because now when people went to the location to pick product, they really found the product and they trusted the system more. So they built that faith in the system and it worked, fine. Eventually, everybody followed and it became a really nice operating DC, worked like a well-oiled machine, and they moved to a nicer facility and they won more customers and more products and so forth. So their business basically boomed from there. So this is something that can be implemented tomorrow. Along with the third shift replenishers, put a couple of people and focus on cycle counting. And typically the requirement is that you have to cycle count these locations at least once in a quarter, 4 times in a year for from an auditor's perspective. So that way they can confidently say, hey, the inventory accuracy is 99.9%, and that is the value of the inventory, because in the books, right, the inventory value needs to be reflected accurately from a financials perspective. So that's the key. So this is a process that anybody can implement tomorrow in their distribution center, and that would add great value to the overall processes within